Hello and welcome to this video. And this video is going to be called Creativity and Fear, and it's going to be a Philosophy Sunday video. If I put it out, that is, but if I put it out, it'll have gone to plan because it's going to be a very strange video. I do quite a lot of YouTubing from my car like this, driving about. I like the fact that there's like the scenery in the background's continually changing and that people from other countries can see sort of a bit out the window stuff that's going on. I like the fact that the audio is quite good in here. It's like being in a little recording studio, especially if I switch my fan off. So you probably think I'm just doing this because it's an easy way of doing a YouTube, but that's not the case. I have suffered with anxiety all my life in all sorts of different forms, and about 10 years ago I actually developed a really quite serious fear of driving. Now, anyone who's seen my videos and seen me driving around go, well, you know, you must have got over it. But I haven't got over it. I still have it. It's a little bit better than it was. It emerged probably about 10-15 years ago. And I think it established myself because I was a musician and I did so much driving. I was coming out of venues in the middle of the night, you know, sort of 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 hours drive away, jumping into the car, trying to drive home, worried I'd fall asleep on my own, you know, and you start to worry you're going to break down. And then sometimes things do happen, you do get stranded in places. And what started off as a sort of niggling worry that I might get stuck has developed into a full-scale anxiety. Now, I'm about to drive through Wolverhampton now, which is quite a busy, I'm on the ring road, it's quite busy. Now, I have no fear of driving. I have no fear of talking to you and negotiating the traffic that is actually quite heavy at the moment. Not super heavy, but there's a lot of twists and turns and weird, like people coming up like that behind you. But I don't have any fear of that. It's not the driving that I have a fear of. My fear is based around the idea of being on my own in the car. So I've just dropped my wife at the station. She's going up to see Peter Kay in Manchester. And I had no worries driving her because she was in the car with me. I am really bad when I'm in the car on my own. So I thought what I would do is try and examine the idea of being frightened, of fear, how it works when I'm actually in a fearful situation, which, believe me, I am. Now, before we get going, what I want to do is I want to create the thumbnail for this. I want to capture me being absolutely scared, which I am a little bit at the moment. It's not too bad, actually. So I'm going to get ready to do the thumbnail, if you will indulge me. So I'm going to get the thumbnail ready for this, so I'm going to probably do like this. Right, so took the hand off the steering wheel, you daredevil Andy. So first thing, creativity I think is linked to two sort of mental health issues. One's depression and one's anxiety. A lot of people who watch this channel are musicians. I don't necessarily come in here for sort of music lessons, but I know there's a lot of creative individuals that watch the channel, especially on a Sunday, and I know they enjoy when I do this, and I've spoken about it before, but I'll just reiterate it again. But there are videos on this channel where I go into this in much more detail. But if you think into the future a lot, so if you're the sort of person that can think ahead, imagine stuff in the future, you could accommodate for risks happening, all that type of things, that's a really useful skill, and people who are good at risk assessment will have that. I am like that. I'm always thinking of the consequences. Now, that's combined with quite a creative mind. So driving up here and thinking about the future of me driving back, I was more worried then than I am now. I'm actually doing it, right? And there's a number of things I've put in place to be able to deal with this fear, and one of them is doing this YouTube video. So I thought, rather than sitting down panicking, I would make a YouTube video out of it. So now I'm talking to you, that has notched my fear down, but I am still pretty frightened. It's notched my fear down. Now, so if you combine creativity with the ability to think ahead, you will do a thing what is called catastrophizing. Okay, now that is what causes anxiety. I'm pretty sure, you know, people think, oh my god, I don't want to be in that situation. Now this usually relates to some sort of trauma that people have in their childhood, so they get stuck in a situation where they're little, and when you're little you really cannot deal with stuff, and it's the feeling that you cannot deal with it, it's the feeling of losing control and that you cannot deal with what is going on is usually what causes anxiety. And anxiety, of course, is you being in the present, thinking forward about being in that situation. I'm under no threat at the moment, so there's no reason for me to be anxious. But I'm worried that I'm going to break down, get stranded, the kids won't know where I am, I'll try and use my phone and then the phone will stop working, and suddenly I will be stranded out in the middle of nowhere forever. And in 2 years' time, they will find my car parked up against the road with my rotted skeleton in it. Because fundamentally, what fear is the fear of death. We have got an inbuilt system to keep us alive. Without that, we would just go and walk into the road and get run over because we'd have no reason. I wonder what death's like. You know, nosiness would probably kill us. So human beings have this system. All fear is based upon the fear of death. Now, we don't know what death is, and that's why it's fearful. And death is really, it's not death you're frightened of, it's the void. It's nothingness. It's the unknown. It's the black empty space of nothing. That's what we're frightened of, because we can't understand it. We are in awe when we face the void, right? And artists face the void all the time because they're creative people. So they're on this weird edge all the time of having to face this black void and come to terms with it. And what do artists do? Really bizarre. What artists will then do is they'll create something like a painting or a story or a piece of music. And when they're making it, they are imagining it finished in the future. That's how they can make it. To be good at it, you've got to be able to do that. And you've got to be able to land it in the future, where a part of you now can project into the future an idea of what is beautiful. That is basically what an artist does. So the very thing that's required to be able to do that will mean that you will catastrophize very easily. Now, I've spoken a bit on the channel, but I can tell it exactly, and I'm going to be really honest with you, because one of the things I have realized is that I'm a very anxious person. Because I'm anxious, my ideas usually to normal people sound completely bonkers. You start lying to people. Oh, I can't do this because of this, or I'm not feeling very well, or I've got a sore toe, or whatever it is. You start to make up lies, so you start lying to people. And at a certain point in my life, I went, I'm not going to lie to people. I'm going to say, I've got really bad anxiety and I get anxious about this. If someone doesn't understand it, I'm getting really panicky now, because the traffic has slowed. When the traffic slows, I'm going to really analyse it as we go. When the traffic slows and I depress the clutch, because in the UK we have clutches. Those in America, you probably got automatics. They're much better. I wish I had one, but I haven't. And I feel like the clutch is going to snap. And why? Because I've had that happen. I've had the clutch snap, and I've relayed that story elsewhere. So as the traffic slowed, it triggered that feeling, because that's where it happened, and I was going, oh my god, my clutch is going to snap. It's not going to snap. If it does snap, it's snapped. But me thinking it's going to snap is not. I can't foretell the future. The rational side of me knows all this, but it's not the rational side that's dealing with this. It's the child in me that remembers the feeling of being out of control and is being triggered. It's the child tugging inside of me going, Andy, this is quite bad. What's going to happen if we get stuck here in the car? I don't like being stuck in the car. I don't like it. And to get back onto this thing about how other people perceive it, you don't want to look like a baby, right? Now, I've done all sorts of brave things in my life, and I do think that courage is a really important thing. I think it's one of the greatest qualities, even above being kind and selfless. I think courage is the rare commodity, and this is why we celebrate it in such a way that we do, with stories of courage. But courage obviously is about learning to overcome the natural fears you have. If I was stuck in a boat on D-Day approaching some beach, which is a truly terrifying situation, anyone who's seen Saving Private Ryan will attest to that, because Spielberg's so great at communicating that through art. So if you're in that situation, you'd be frightened. And running up that beach, you'd have to have courage to do it. The problem is that if you're a creative person, you suffer with anxiety. My anxiety at the moment could be comparable to that, right? And you'll think, well, you don't seem that bothered because I've had a whole lifetime to cover it up. But my stomach's going over, everything is hypersensitive now. You know, I'm trying to drive, but cars seem to be coming at me and all sorts of things. You know, everything's moving about. The car feels really sensitive, all the pedals, all the bumps in the road. I'm feeling all that, and it's triggering something. And it's like my subconscious is in a state, and then the conscious part of me, the adult part of me, is trying to pat that down at the moment, and that's what's going on at the moment. Right, and I want to talk about how it relates to creativity, which I think I've done now, and methods that I've found which help it. Right, so my mouth's drying up as well now. This is rubbish, isn't it? Come on, Andy, you big Jesse. So, before I get onto my methods for coping with it, now we got a speed bloody trap, and I'm going to make sure I don't want to get a speeding ticket. But I'm not frightened of getting a speeding ticket. But I don't want to get one. That is like a normal anxiety. I'm wittering now, but I want you to see the fact that I am frightened. This is what I wanted to capture in a brave and courageous thing that, like, do a YouTube that people don't normally do. I'm sure somebody does this, but most music, Rick Beato wouldn't do this, wouldn't he? I mean, what's he frightened of? Not being able to recognise some chord. What am I doing? I'm adding humour. Number one. A sense of humour counteracts your fears, right? If you can laugh at fear, I think that's what humour is. It takes something unknown. Jokes are like, it's like there's a semblance of the void in a situation. When you think about it, you go, oh, the void's there, but really, the void is a bit silly. If you think about Harry Potter, and they have those things in that wardrobe that I can't remember the names of, and they're your worst fear, and you have to turn it into something you can laugh at. That's a very profound truth, as is contained in Harry Potter all the way through it. Profound truths abound. So when I did that thumbnail, and I did, oh, my clutch feels like it's going to break. It's so irrational, this is. I'll be so glad when I get onto the open road and I'm going to depress the clutch. But now I'm trying to seek solace in not doing the thing that makes me frightened. And that doesn't work. Some advice to you nervous creative types: do not seek solace in the facts. If you think that ringing somebody up or finding something out or doing something is going to fix it, it's not going to fix it. You have to deal with this. You have to deal with it head on. Laughing at it will do it. Laughing at it will do it. Now, a lot of musicians they have some sort of self-loathing, so they don't like themselves. They have the urge to create, but they think that in the future when they do create and people see it, they will go, oh my God, this person's absolutely inept. I can't believe they put this art out there. And that ends up with a certain type of perfectionism, which I also think exacerbates anxiety, because we start to try and think of ourselves as we should be, and that's the awful word, we should be perfect human beings, and we're not. We don't want to put our frailties out there, but that's precisely what an artist should do. And sometimes our frailties, which are interesting to other people, don't seem like they'll be interesting to us, and that's something that you need to embed in the art. I don't see my YouTube videos as being like science. I don't see them as academic papers. I see them primarily as entertainment, and I want to try and do something within this format that actually entertains, but I want to entertain on a level when people will go, this is quite interesting watching Andy doing this, you know. I don't want anybody to go, you were very brave, you know, blah blah blah. And I don't want that at all. I don't want you to put that in the comments, right? I'm not brave. I'm dealing with something that I should be able to deal with. Drive on my way home. The closer I get to home, the more I will relax, and you will see that. But we've just exited Wolverhampton. We're out into the countryside nearly. Oh, the clutch has felt fine all the way there. It felt fine when I first started. Now I'm having to use all my might to depress it. My anxiety is focused around that clutch, and that's something I didn't know when I started this experiment, that is what is winding me up. And I'll examine that in a little bit, and I'll tell you how I'm examining it and what I think is the true solution to anxiety if you're a creative person. It's so bloody obvious, but I'm hoping that you will see in action here. For those of you that don't suffer with anxiety but still have mental health issues, you're probably suffering with depression. And depression is like almost like the polar opposite of anxiety. Rather than projecting yourself into the future, what is you gaze back on the past. This is another thing that artists do. You gaze back on the past experiences, that self-loathing kicks in, and you start to look at it and go, oh my God, that was really bad what I did there. It always goes bad for me. And you start to go into a narrative of damnation. Right, and so we could see this dialectic emerging. If everything is okay, you'd be perfect, but you're not. You're a flawed human being, and that flaw is going to be your downfall. You're damned. If you look in your past, you can see when you've been damned. And every time you try, it never gets any better. Whatever you do, there's nothing you can do, because it's you that's made it like this, and there's nothing you can do about it. And life's pointless, because how can there be a point when you cannot wish for anything in the future good because of what you know from the past? That is depression, right? And there's a dialectic at work. This is why I say so often that creativity is the harmonious balance of the visceral energy, which in this case is fear, with perfectionism, and that is being able to tie fear to the grid and have it, like, rather than it being some infinite void, it shrinks down to something that you can deal with. And this is why a joke, this is why laughing at those, they're not dementors, what the hell are they called, those things that are put it in the comments. Anyway, being able to laugh and turn that into, when they're doing that in Harry Potter, they are doing something creative, because they're balancing these two elements. And when it's funny, it goes into a space which is rare in our experience, and we laugh, or we're moved, or and this is the sublime. This is this area where these two things unite, and it's the central theme of why I do this channel and what I try and get across on here. Right, so, mouth's drying up. I should have had some water or something. See, I should have, you see. Be all right if I didn't have water. Fine, so should I go and get a bottle of water? Then it won't make any difference. You can live with a dry mouth, Andy. I can feel my anxiety, because I'm not pressing the clutch, is now diminishing somewhat. Right, so the reason why I decided to do this video is I knew if I did the video, it would counter my anxiety, and it is doing this. If I wasn't talking to you now, I would be a lot worse. So my whole thought process would be, I'd be basically doing this. Okay so far. Oh my God, what's that? Oh no, we're okay so far. Now, what's it? It's a car overheating. No, it's not. And is that clutch okay? I won't touch the clutch. That would have been me for the 3/4 of an hour I've got to drive home. But because I'm talking to you, it's like I am in the moment now. Now, a lot of people talk about mindfulness and they talk about meditation. When you're creating great art, especially the sort of art that I like, not computerized art, but art that's made out of performance, art that happens in the moment, a story that's written and it just flows out the pen. Someone painting, painting is the purest form of art, because to paint has to be like that. As soon as you start painting, you are in this process. You enter in it and you exit in it. And if you're focused and you're doing it well, i.e. you're a good artist, you are surfing the wave of creativity. And when you're surfing that wave, you are not in the future and you're not in the past, you are in the present moment. My present moment's a bit weird, because my present moment is talking to you and creating this video. I have a very slight awareness that this video will go online, and there's a slight awareness of me going, this is going okay, this hasn't gone badly, this will be quite good. But there's another part of me going, describe how you feel. Oh, I've stalled the car. Oh, I was just about to mention chaos. I was just about to mention it, and so as much as I want to create a structured conversation, and believe me, doing 1,000 YouTube videos, I've now got a much better awareness of how to keep talking, and create a video that has a beginning, middle and an end, and flows to a natural ending. Here, I'm going to try and use my virtuoso YouTubing skills, being a bit arrogant there, that always helps as well, fake arrogance is a wonderful thing. But I'm going to try and utilize my YouTube skills. That the climax of this video is as I arrive at my destination. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? You can imagine how clever that would be. And so this all has a bigger, more esoteric meaning when you step back, in that there's a journey, and there's a literal journey, and there's another journey towards overcoming fear. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? This is the middle of the video now, right? So now we've posited this idea. I'm creating at the moment, I'm creating a cruddy YouTube video. My art training, when I started doing YouTube videos, I just did them. I thought, well, this will be good. I can promote myself and get online and do this. But because I was trained as an artist and not a musician, I examined the nature, process and structure of a Talking Heads YouTube video, and I started to see the elements, right? The fundamental element is the frame that you are seeing that I am in, and then you could see that I'm in a certain situation. I'm doing, right? I'm driving, and the background is going past, and that part of the art I have no control over, but it is part of the art. If something happens in the background that I'm not aware of, it will affect the perception of this video, and I don't have any control over that. That's chaos, that's visceral energy, that's what is in this video. And then me talking and trying to create a structure, that's perfectionism. I'm trying to get to somewhere, and I don't know where I'm trying to get to. I have a lot of ideas about this, and the ideas have helped me through the years. But wouldn't it be wonderful on this video if I came to some sort of realization in front of you that actually helps me a little better, and hopefully helps you. Right, so I'm gonna have a wobble down. That's it. I'm going over these junctions is almost like physical pain for me at the moment. But you can see I don't know whether I'm looking a little bit more relaxed now, because we're sort of halfway through, and we're closer to home. Technically I could walk it from here. It would take me about a day trudging through the West Midlands home, you know, like a man stranded in the Sahara Desert. Oh, that would be the worst thing for me. You know Lawrence of Arabia, when that bloke falls off his bloody camel, you know that one? And he falls off and he gets up and he waits, oh my God, and he starts to walk, and he knows he's going to die, right? And he's resigned to die and he's panicking. But Lawrence, who's going through this sort of existential process of the film, which is personified with that moment when he comes out of the desert covered in dust, and he walks into the sort of shattered ruins of sort of humanity, and he walks through this room with his camel and that lad with him, and he has gone into the desert as a British man. He has confronted his own shadow. He has committed atrocities and violence, and he's gone right up to the edge of who he is. And at that point, when he reaches back into sort of Western civilization, he sees that huge boat going through the desert like a mirage. And as that passes, someone shouts to him, "Who are you? Who are you?" And he looks, and on his face you can see him think, "I don't know who I am." He cannot answer the question. But there's a point in that film, going back to my original analogy, got two metaphors going on here, where that bloke falls off his horse and he's dead. The Islamic sort of view of the world is that it's fate, that is Allah, that is destined for him to die. And he, at that point, exerts a very Western European thing of, no, we're going to stand up to the gods and we're going to shake our fists. I'm going to go back into the desert and undo fate, right? Those two opposing things, I think, and the courage in which he does that, and he risks his own life for this person who later on in the film, because this is Lawrence of Arabia is one of the greatest films ever made, he executes, he rescues. I mean, it's so profound, and in that, I think, is the answer that I'm looking for, and I don't know what it is, but it's popped into my mind here. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. You can't see it, and I'm not looking at it. And there it is. I'm not home yet. I needed this happen in about 5 minutes. There it is. Right, I've got the camera on me. I'm telling you all about my page. It's all about me, isn't it? It's me. It's my structure. It's who I am. You know, I'm Andy Edwards. I'm a YouTuber. I'm going to counteract my fear by asserting the adult in me, the person who's in control. I've used the characterization of me in control to beat down the anxiety. So the little child sits there and goes, okay, he seems to be in control because he's making a YouTube video and he's good at that. So if he's good at that, everything must be all right. But what I'm failing to do is to open my eyes and truly be in the moment. At this moment in time, 23 minutes past 1 on a Friday afternoon, and with all my life and all my worries and all the consequences that could happen if I broke down, which wouldn't be terrible, but would be an inconvenience. But I can feel the fear going away. Right, let's try and get onto this feeling if we can. These things that I'm worried about they would be annoying. And life, these things happen all the time. If you're going to live your life, you are going to have to face these things. Things will go wrong. You'll miss trains. You'll get stranded somewhere. You might even break your leg. You might hurt yourself. You might have to have an operation. You might get really ill and you might live or die. But living is that, and we have to accept that. And you think, how can you accept it? I'm too panicky, I can't do it. And it's the feeling that basic life itself you're not able to deal with. And that feeling, when you're a creative person, that's what you want to try and get across to everybody else so they can feel and see the world how you do. It's that thing of wanting to reach out. If there was some person in this car, especially a very organised and rational person, I wouldn't be worried now, because that person's there. But when you have this, you're lonely and you're isolated. There is something about being an artist which makes you separate from everybody else. And what it is, it's your view of the world's different. And humanity needs that different view, because it's how humanity has got to the place it is right now. But it's a terrible thing for the person who does see the world differently, because they can see the void. Now, got my anxiety back again, but I had a feeling where it dipped, because for a moment I let go of that, and I realised what's fundamental. I'm feeling sick now. This is really weird. Talking, this is like having counselling, isn't it? I'm feeling sick. The demon. I used to call him the demon. I've got an album called Demon. It's all about this. The demon now for me is a little child. The demon, he's come back to being a demon now, and he goes, all right then, that didn't work, panicking didn't work, let's make him throw up, let's give him diarrhea, let's make him ill, I need to get his attention, I'm going hot, I'm starting to sweat, I feel sick. I had that moment where I can let go, and you know why? Because I don't want to let go of it, because it keeps me safe. My anxiety keeps me safe, and when I get to that point where I'm challenging it, and I might actually let go, I might actually let go of the anxiety. When I get to that point, I don't want to, that demon or child, you know, traumatized child, or whatever it is inside me, you didn't want to let go, because these are the mechanisms that keep you safe. Oh, and the thing that made me let go of it was to realise that I am actually not that important. I'm part of the big system, and the system's okay. And the proof of that is in the countryside that is around me. And we've just gone back into this place. It's not quite as nice. They had rolling hills back there, but this is nice. The gentle pastoral view of the English countryside, you know, not like oppressive and not like bland. It's a lovely balance, rolling fields. That these fields are being created by humans. You know, this would have been forest at one point, but they've been cleared because this used to be farming. People grew their food on there to sustain themselves. Now we get their food from other countries, and everyone panics, you know, because there's a fire at Heathrow Airport like there has been today, and the whole thing closes down, and everyone starts to panic because what happens if there's a war in the Ukraine? We can't get our food. No one's growing their own food. We're disconnected. Human beings are disconnected from the very process that sustains them. And it's right out there now. If I was Bear Grylls, I wouldn't matter if I bloody broke down, because I could wander into the fields and live off berries and drinking out of dead sheep's eyes, or whatever you do when you survive. You know, I'll be making, you know, bows and arrows out of catgut, you know, training a fox to be my friend and all that bit. It's beautiful. Walk towards the beauty. Walk away from the fear and walk towards the beauty. That's what all great art says. I started off with this sort of intellectual idea on this video that artists, you know, have this fear and then they make art. Because the basic, what my initial pre-planned revelation that I had in the bag just in case was the fact that if you've got anxiety, make art. Because the best tonic for your anxiety is to make art, and don't put it off, and don't wait around till you do something perfect. Just start making it and trust in you as a human being that it will be compelling, and go, well, Andy just made a video, I watched it all the way to the end, it was quite interesting, quite enjoyed it, and he's just in the car driving along talking. Is that art? Well, I hope it is, that's why I'm doing this. But there was a view back there. It's not so much here now, but there was a view on that road and you didn't see it. So you have to imagine it. That's the art, you see. I have to describe it like an artist. We came out of the town, throughout the traffic. Right, I knew that I would relax when I got to the countryside. I hadn't really questioned that. I thought that's just because, you know, I could just plain sailing. I passed through Wallheath, out of Wallheath, and then when I got home, there was out of Wallheath. I'm on this road quite straight, quite high up. And to the right of me, I looked across and there were just these gentle rolling hills. There were little bushes, little hedges. There were actually a few houses dotted around. Houses that looked like they're safe places. That's if you were, you know, a wanderer, you know, passing through this in the medieval times, you would see that house. We're passing the Island Pool now, which is it's a pub, and it does you know, breakfast and all that bit. But that's an inn, that's an oasis, that's the point, that's what we're trying to head for, that's safety. But the safety is we're too removed from who we are. We're it's all the old hippie stuff. This is the realization, we're disconnected from it. If you become connected to it, you become at one. Home now, not panicky really. Well, I had such a funny turn. That was full on, like that was something else. I don't normally have that because I got it under control. I thought I was going to be sick. Feel a bit better now. Emotional roller coaster. That view, and I looked at it and I went, you don't matter, Andy. You know, you're doing your little thing. Your kids they're doing their little lives. My wife's gone off to see Peter Kay. She's doing her little life. We're all okay. Everything's fine. You know, you'll live and you'll die, and it's just what'll happen. Just let go of it. And I let go of it. And then that demon, I had a ton of counselling for 4 years, and I turned that demon into a child. I realised it was me. And I've developed a technique now that I use if I'm in a situation like this. Rather than talking into a YouTube, because you can't all be doing this, what I do is I talk to myself out loud. It makes me look like a nutter, but I talk to myself as a child, and this is what I was going to tell you is the technique. So I'd be going, right, nearly home now. That was okay. Nothing really happened then, did it? You know how to drive the car, don't you? We're all safe, aren't we? We're going to get the car. I mean, if the car breaks down, we'll be all right. Well, we won't die. I mean, you can get some food and we'll have a nice sleep in the car, and someone will notice you're not there, and they'll probably come out and find us one day. They'd like to find us one day. So they'd be looking. This is something I do. I know it sounds completely insane. It's humorous. I'm going into a cold sweat every time I stop. I have got anxiety. It's a burning anxiety. Right? I'm in a good place at the moment because of this YouTube. The two things have come together. the need to create content like on a daily basis that nobody else could do, but I have to do it. I'm driven to do it, and that gets me balanced. So without that, I'm not balanced. The only way I could become balanced, I think, is to do something that I read about in a biography of Aleister Crowley. When I was younger and I was searching for alternative knowledge, I came across this story that was associated with Aleister Crowley, the Beast, where someone had come to them and said, I'm really, really anxious and I can't relax. I'm not, I just can't relax. And I'm like me trying to drive home there. And they said that you need to go and get a tent or something. He said, go out into the middle of nowhere, nature, and sit it out. And go out there and reside in it and wait it out. And this was like the worst thing that person could do, because this feeling of isolation I've described, that's one up from death. That's what the fear is the fear of being cut off and isolated, because then it's just down to you, and it's the belief that you're not good enough to survive that. So this person goes out and they get in their little tent pitched on the side of some mountain overlooking a beautiful landscape, and they panic all day, what if it rains, what if there's a hurricane, what if I run out of food, what if, and this goes on for 3 or 4 days, right? They're bored stiff, there's nothing to do, couldn't take any books, couldn't take any entertainment, there's absolutely nothing to do. And this person, eventually, this one morning they get up and they just can't fight it anymore. They're exhausted, they're tired, they haven't been able to sleep at night for fear of wolves coming to get them or whatever it is. And they go out and sit outside and they look out, and suddenly they see. They've been looking but not seeing, and suddenly they see it, and they get taken up by the beauty of it. And for the rest of the time they're there, they basically sustain themselves and then go out and take in the beauty of this gift we've got, which is life. That's the real solution to anxiety, ladies and gentlemen. I am now virtually home. That is this solution to it, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of us who find that difficult, because most normal people can just do that at the drop of a hat, but for those that make it difficult, it's because we're creative. We have to accept that. So what we need to do is go out and try and express it, and we need to try and capture that beauty. And that beauty could be anywhere. I'm not just talking about the English countryside, or the face of a baby. It could be in an industrial landscape. It's because it's really about the connection to being in the moment in your life and seeing how you actually are situated in that fundamentally. I'm home. I didn't die. I didn't get stranded, and I didn't have to drink any eyeball contents. I'm going to go left here. All right, there's a big sign. I'm going to finish. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? You're still there. There's a big sign. You can't see anything. I'm going to accept that you can't see. You're looking at me. As I said that, I looked up and it's painted on the wall. It says, "Love where you live." Love where do you live? Where do I live? I'll show you where I live. I will show you. I'm just pulling up now that I've had the realisation. I was pulling up here, and we'll go for a little walk, and we'll finish the video like that. I'm trapped. I've done this before on this channel. I've been here before, and I'm here again. I'm here. Just have a walk around. I haven't got my right stand, so I'm going to have to hold this. I'm surrounded by death. Surrounded by it. Surrounded by dead bodies. That's what we're frightened of. I'll show you something quite interesting. I'm actually walking on dead bodies now. Death has reared its beautiful head because it's peaceful here. It's one of those little oases